Hello, everyone. Welcome to Crow Canyon Software's Fall Solution Showcase. We are presenting a set of business applications for SharePoint and Office 365 that we have developed. The first webinar was last week for IT solutions, and a video of that webinar is available at crowcanyon.com/webinars. Today, we will be covering work order solutions oriented towards work orders, facilities, equipment, sort of related to help desk, service desk for facilities, but also directed towards work orders and facilities focus and equipment focus, equipment maintenance, equipment tracking. And then Thursday, this coming Thursday, we will have HR solutions. That's November 1st, all at the same time, 11 a.m. Just 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern or whatever time zone corresponds to that. We are going to have recordings available, just like we did for the first one, a day or two after the webinar for each of these webinars, and those will also be available at crowcanyon.com/webinars. And by the way, there's other webinars we have up there that you might be interested in. We're coming up with a one on our AI services in November, and then Microsoft Flow in December. So, and it might be others interspersed in between. So pay attention. You can pay attention or see our notices or go to our website to find out about those upcoming webinars. Now, as far as the webinar today, we'll get going in one moment, but first I just wanted to point out that there is a question box on your webinar screen where you can enter in questions during the webinar. One of our staff, James will be answering those questions, and he may pipe in once in a while and let me know about a question so we can answer it live. If we don't get to it during the webinar, we'll be sure to answer after the webinar, make sure all those questions are answered. Also, just an overview of the webinar is that we present, or I will present, as much kind of general view of what the work order equipment system is like and what we've done with SharePoint and Office 365 to turn it into a business application platform and how that's done. But I'm sure that there are specific questions or specific needs or requirements you might have, and we'll be very glad to talk to you individually, do a one-on-one demos where we'll show you and have an interactive conversation. This webinar is more like I'm presenting and you communicate through, the questions or communicate through email after, but it isn't as interactive as a one-on-one demo. So I do encourage, if you find this of interest, to contact us for a one-on-one demo or email with sales, and we'll talk about, or give a phone call even, and we'll talk about specific requirements. Okay, with that said, I think I'll get going on this. My name is Scott. Oh, I skipped over my slide. Oh, I know, whatever. So first we're going to do work order solutions, facilities, work order solutions in SharePoint Office 365. I mentioned that's what we're going to be talking about today. Here's the presenter slide. I'm Scott Restivo, CEO of Crow Canyon Software. We've been in business almost 20 years now, and we've been doing SharePoint and Office 3 applications ever since SharePoint came out in the early days of SharePoint, back before 2007 even. And we have a number of applications that we have besides the work order. There's IT solutions, there's HR solutions, work order solutions, and request management solutions. Many applications people are using all over the world, and they run in SharePoint 2013, 2016, and will be in 2019, and also Office 365. So we cover all those environments of SharePoint, whether you're on premises or in Office 365 with our application. We also have the Nitro Studio, which I'll show you some of that today, which is an application creation platform that some people who want to build their own applications will take and be like what they call citizen developers or whatever, and be able to take the Nitro Studio and build a set of workflows and forms and whatever to build kind of applications out of that for their particular needs for their organization. What I'm showing you today is one of our business applications. There's actually several of them, and these are ready to go out of the box applications. They can be tweaked and configured. They run on Nitro Studio, but they're full-fledged, ready to go applications that just need a particular fitting. You might change the categories, you might change some of the settings, some of the little bit here and there, notifications and that kind of thing, but pretty much they're ready to go right out of the box. And we also build custom solutions for customers all over, and depending on their particular needs and what they want to do and the specialized situations they have with SharePoint that they want to do there in their system. So, why Crow Canyon Solutions on SharePoint Office 365? Well, the whole point here is to leverage your existing investment in SharePoint and Office 365, not have a bunch of siloed applications where you have different environments you have to log in and different environments you have to administer and go to, and have different applications don't necessarily talk to each other. So it's all on the SharePoint or Office 365 environment. You can also take advantage of many of the modern UI and other features of Office 365 and SharePoint as Microsoft is aggressively developing these platforms. So they're coming out with new features almost constantly. And it's quite an exciting world to be working in, the SharePoint Office 365. There's many, many new features, new capabilities coming out all the time. And we give you the ability to configure and customize your application with the Nitro Studio and the application administration. And it's all built, of course, on cutting edge SharePoint technology, which these days is a modern UI and mobile friendly and responsive. And we're also going into bots and AI services so that the help desk and service desk can be more and more automated for the use of the latest technologies. With that said, I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint and not go on and on with PowerPoint and jump right into the actual presentation here, which is here on here. Okay, bring it over. All right, here we go. Good. So what we're focusing on today is the work order system. Now you could call it a facilities request management system. You could call it a work order system. The name is more or less synonymous, but the idea is that something needs to be done, right? Obviously, so there's some request, some issue, some problem, and it needs to be fixed. Something needs to be purchased or installed. Something needs to be moved. Something needs to be migrated. Something needs to be done. So you want a system to do it. If you're using email, spreadsheets, old legacy programs that are outdated, aren't responsive, aren't mobile friendly, then it's time to think about moving to a more modern system like this and have the ability to streamline operations and run things much more smoothly using this kind of program. Now, one thing is about with the work orders is how does a work order get created? So we're going to first explore that and then go into the automation and how the work order flows through the system. So the first way is how is a ticket created? How is a work order created? People can send an email. People can come to SharePoint and create it. But we also give them a user interface called a portal, application portal, that they can come in, and then from a user's perspective, this is a very nice, simple, clean way to enter in an issue or a ticket or a problem. And they can submit a new one. They could view knowledge base. They could view their existing tickets, view the knowledge base, whatever, have certain quick tickets right here that they can go to. Now, this is highly configurable. This is like kind of a very basic example of a portal. You can make this into a really nice portal that looks with your colors, your logos, and simply go into portal settings as an admin, and you can monkey around with this and build up a really, really nice portal. You can change the background image to something that's appropriate to your organization. You can change the logo, you can change all that, all the look and feel, but you also can go in and change the forms so that and I'll go into forms design a little bit more when we get into the back end, but the thing is you can change these forms and all that so that the person comes in and they can have a nice way to submit a form, come in here, or turn green, okay, and then we go submit a new ticket, new work order, and they fill this out. We know who they are because they're logged in. All that information is filled in, and then just put in the details. They select the category type, whatever the problem is, and submit it in, and then it becomes part of the back-end system, and they can view their existing ones that they have already submitted, open them up for editing, or to make a comment on it, or see the status. They can see which ones are open, which ones are closed, all the work orders. These are ones that this person, admin account, has submitted. Now, this form can be changed different ways. You don't have to have the picture here. You can do different colors. You can name it different fields, whatever. But the point is that we're seeing only the tickets that this person submitted. Not, in some cases, you don't want to show all the tickets that are going on, all the work orders, to everybody. You don't want everybody to see each other. So you keep it down to just that person submitted. You also do it by department or by a location, whatever way you want to filter and group these tickets to show only what is necessary for that person to see in this system. So if the person also wants to go here to a knowledge base, they can go and search the knowledge base and then see see some articles that may solve their problem right away. Of course, back on the home page of this portal, this is our what we call our Power Portal. It's part of the Nitro Studio, and it comes as part of the work order. Highly configurable with the portal settings. You put whatever quick links you want here, have as many tiles as you want, different icons, different colors, different groupings, number. You can have different, you can have notifications here. You can have different easy way to get to certain information, such as FAQs and that kind of thing. So the idea here is that we're putting together a way for your users to engage with the system without having to deal with the back end of SharePoint. Nice, clean, easy interface, can be integrated with a portal. And the other point on this is that we have recently moved this to the modern UI in SharePoint on Office 365, SharePoint Online, and the page is even more configurable than it is what I'm showing you here under the portal settings. There you can add in all kinds of other web parts generated from Microsoft, like weather and maps and that kind of stuff, along with all our stuff. So there's a combination of the Crow Canyon, and what Microsoft provides is a very powerful portal for the user to come in and engage with the system. So then when they come back here, when the ticket's submitted, and what all this information that's, what's supplying all the information in this portal is this back end. The back end is more complex because we're dealing with people who are technicians or whoever is resolving these tickets. So they need a little more information. They want to know how many are overdue. Click here and see the 5 overdue ones, which ones are unassigned. They might want to see kind of a dashboard view of what's going on, an insight right into the system so they can work from there. They can also go to build up a staff workspace, use the one we have, or adjust this to be different if they want to see what I have to do today. What are my work orders? What are my tasks? How many are open? How many have I done this month? And this, whatever statistics or information's here, simply go in and edit this page, and you can move around these web parts and create your own staff workspace. It can be very individualized. It can be also from a manager perspective, a dashboard also. So we're presenting dashboards, reports, and ways of viewing the data such that we're facilitating the resolution of these work orders in a ways that through automation. Now, another thing that happens is when a new work order comes in, whether a person sends an email, they use that portal I just showed you, or they come to this back end of SharePoint. When they create a new work order, a number of workflows kick off. And this is what's really great about the automation of a system like this. The way that the amount of automation and custom workflows you can build into this system is virtually endless, really. What you can do is when a new ticket is created, auto reply to the user, automatically assigned it to a certain group or individual based on the category or type of problem, whether it's whatever the work order is, send it there. You can also create subtasks that are related to, okay, this kind of thing needs all these subtasks. That's what happens a lot of times when this is implemented in an onboarding situation. So it might be, somebody's getting hired. Okay, hiring, it's going to happen, say, November 1st, December 1st or something. Here's all the tasks that have to happen before that person can come on board. So you're generating multiple tasks that are related to that work order, to subtask. Also, a lot of work orders, or some work orders anyway, especially for access or equipment purchase or something, will require approvals. So that will generate an approval process. So there's a lot of automation that goes on. When you look at this screen, it looks fairly static, but when a person creates a work order, behind the scenes or under the covers, or so to speak, is a number of workflows are running to help you automate the system. Now, this is all being done through, the setup and configuration done in the application administration, which is where our Nitro Studio resides. What I can do is just quickly switch over there, because I want to stick with the main work order system, but I'll switch over there for a moment. We have this application administration here, and it will go to our Nitro Studio apps. So for this facilities or work order system that we have now, we have a number of apps that are underlying the process, underlying the functionality of the program. So this is how the forms, the workflows, the reports, and you have access to all this. This is all something that you can come in and modify the form, modify the workflows, modify the reports, whatever you need to do. If you want to tweak, adjust, configure a little bit the work order system as it is out of the box. So right here we have the list of work orders. Let's take a look at one. Now, it's been created, it's been sent in by the end user or whoever sent it in, and it's maybe been assigned automatically. The person's got to reply. It might have kicked off some tasks or whatnot, but eventually someone's got to come and take a look at it and do something about the problem or resolve this in some manner or other. So we have a form that comes up. This is our Nitro Forms designer done in that Nitro Studio app, the forms that we were looking at a moment ago. There's a Nitro Forms in this Nitro Studio app. It's a form designer. It's a WYSIWYG, and it's going to help you create this form and look however you want. It's how it is. We have more or less out of the box. We have these tabs that has a list of fields on it and different displays of the information on this. And this is set up many things you can do. What I mean is many things you can do with this form. You can set up dynamic forms so that when it's a certain category, it's going to have certain other fields required on here. When it's a certain status, it can act a different way, or certain workflows can be kicked off. Lots going on behind this form. You can also put on actions, custom actions at the top. So you can send out an email. You can put up actions that you create up here on this list ribbon to automate your process. So one thing might be, let's say you need to order a part. So it could be like order parts up here, or whatever action is necessary as part of your work order workflow, the work order workflow. You can automate a number of it by simply having tasks up here. Now, this is a demo, so we don't necessarily know what your particular needs are to do that. These are just examples that you can come in and you can assign it, close it, assign it to someone. We can also add an escalation. We can add send over to engineering. We could add whatever's necessary, print it out. Sometimes a lot of people will print out work orders, and I'll show you that in a moment as part of this. But let's look at the form in a little more detail. This is in display mode of an existing form, so you have these different tabs of telling you who it is. Let's go into edit. Let's go into edit and take a look at that. Because right here, you're going to see that there are cascaded lookups here. So there's a category and an issue type. There's a location and a building. So you could do it such that your location is headquarters and there's maybe 5 buildings there. Or your location, you could say the building 1 and have rooms floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. I mean, there's many ways you can make these things interrelated and cascading. We even do stuff like server is in rack X on floor 1 and closet 5 or whatever. You can do whatever way you want to build in this cascading here. This is where when you get one of our out-of-the-box applications, a lot of the minor amount of tweaking is done in this location, building, room, floor, whatever is appropriate, campus, headquarters. And category and issue type could be whatever is appropriate for you. And these are all cascading. So if you choose a certain category, housekeeping, it's going to have different set of information here. If you choose ground, whatever ones you want to choose, you set these up in the back end. Very easy to manipulate these. And a lot of times this is very important for categorization of the item, which then fuels the workflows in the sense that if it's a category of this, it's going to do that. If it's a category of that, it's going to do something else. And that helps with the automation. Also, it helps with the reporting. At the end of the show, you can say, how many of these kind of problems do we have? Why do we have so many of those problems of that category and that type? Let's do something about it and make sure that we can limit the number or fix some underlying issue that is going to show going to stop those incidents from occurring all the time. So things like that can happen. There can be description, who submitted the ticket is down here, the requester, all that, any other people you want to keep notified of it, any attachments, all this is here. Now this form can be changed if you want to add on a new field. Frequently someone has a particular set of data they need to keep track of, so they'll add on a different 1 or 2 or 3 more fields on this and put them in the appropriate place. And that becomes part of the work order. And the other side of it is you can also trim it down and say, we don't need all that stuff. We're just going to keep it very, very simple, trim out some of these tabs or fields. Really, with a demo like this, it's hard to know exactly what the Goldilocks place is. So I'm trying to emphasize, do these one-on-one demos with us, talk about your needs, and we'll show you how easy it is to configure this to be appropriate to your situation. So then we have the where it's assigned. It could be assigned to a team, what the status is. It could be assigned to an individual, where it came from, if you want to track that, priority, due date, all those things. What the resolution was. That's good for keeping track of if you're building up a knowledge base or FAQs, what was the resolution, and that could be used to generate knowledge base or FAQ articles once the ticket is resolved. You can track in relation to equipment and parts. You can have equipment, you come here, put in something, or do a search for equipment in the equipment list, and that's going to become, the work order is going to be associated with the equipment. And then when you go look at that piece of equipment over in the equipment list, which is over here, if you have that as part of your work order system, or it could be building, equipment, vehicles, whatever, that's going to show you all the work orders that have been associated with that piece of equipment. So you're going to know what maintenance has done, what's been fixed on it, what's been ordered, it's going to have you a history of this piece of equipment based on what work orders were done on it. Now, this can also go with regularly scheduled maintenance. Maybe this piece of equipment needs to have the air filter changed every 3 months or whatever. It can generate a work order based on that schedule. So many ways we can do this system to be really appropriate to your particular situation. Stop using those emails, spreadsheets kind of way of managing a system that needs to be really much more organized and focused like this system is here, and how it can be done here in SharePoint. Makes it much more automated and automatic, and really, really great, really interesting ways you can make all this work together. So here's another example, like parts. Well, maybe you choose the equipment, it's going to tell you parts that are related to the equipment, so you're only going to see, you're not going to see every part here, you're only going to see the ones that are related to that piece of equipment or type of equipment. Maybe you want to put, this is just an example in the demo, but you can also put in like the quantity. How many did I use in this? So you can start to generate cost of this fixing of this work order. Isn't that useful at times and interesting? Say, oh, I use 15. That's unlikely you use 15 air filters. Maybe 15 air filters if you got 15 air conditioners to change, I guess. But so I say 15 air filters, whatever, and whatever. You put that in, you can know the cost of them, and then it could draw down an inventory that you have. If you want to go that much with this program, that's certainly possible. We've done that for a number of customers. And it gets really interesting to know that then you can kick off when it's below a certain inventory threshold, order more air filters because we need to have 15 in stock and there's only 5 left or something like that. So that can go into our purchasing system. And like I say, we can gear this program. It's so easy. It's so interesting how you can gear it from being very simple, I just want to track a work order, make sure it gets done, to being a system that integrates with equipment, purchasing, inventory, parts, maybe databases that are outside of this particular SharePoint. They're talking to a database, talking to financial systems. So it can go wherever you want it to go with this in terms of making your business operations more efficient and more effectively meet the needs, and do it more cost effectively and all that. So then you can keep a track on your work log of what's been done, who did what, when, so you know who's working on it, how much has been done, what's being done. And you can also have related items, email history, associated tasks, time tracking. Time tracking can be used also for the cost analysis, how many parts, how much time it took, labor and parts, and then that can be generate a record of how much it costs to get that done. Okay. I think I clicked the mute button for a moment, but I'm back on now. Good. Okay, then there's also a knowledge base that can be used here to create KB article, or you can use this to help the staff understand what give them some insight on maybe like how you maintain a lawnmower or something like that. Could be knowledge base articles. Okay, so that's like the going through its process. It's going to be somebody may enter something in the work log, change the status, approve it, escalate it, whatever is necessary can be done through the workflows and custom action. It can be correlated with the tickets. I mean, the work orders can be correlated with the equipment over here. It can be correlated with contracts. It can be correlated with vendors. So all these things are coordinated with each other to perform a very comprehensive system according to what level you need to have this done. So let's look at equipment for a moment, because that's also, and then we'll go a little more into the back end of how the forms and workflows are actually set up, right? Okay. So we have a list of equipment right here. It can have any amount of information you want on it. Let's go with this one right here. I don't know, something, whatever this is. And it doesn't really matter because equipment is equipment in the sense that it's a list of what information we have about it, what type it is, what's the category, what is it in service or not in service, make, model. You can have links over to vendor sites and information online. It's very interactive, this system, very much the equipment we're listing who used it, when it was bought, whatever information you need about this equipment to keep it in top shape. You know, your whole goal here is you're saving the company money and you're saving yourself time by having the equipment tracked. You know what you have, you know what needs maintenance, you know where it's being used. I mean, ideally, of course, but this system can help you with that rather than have it in a spreadsheet and maybe not available to easy perusal, easy analysis like that. So here you come in and you can say, okay, where it is, what it's located, what building, what room. Like, this can be coordinated with those same categories on the work order, of course. So you have building, location, room, rack, history, and finance. If you want to track that kind of stuff, who purchased it, when, who was the vendor, images of it. You can have check in, check out. If you have that kind of situation where someone comes in and checks it out of a tool crib or a vehicle requisition, vehicle reservation system, and you have related items, and this is where it comes in, and you have work orders, manuals, warranties, history, contracts, everything related to each other. Again, as simple or as complex as your needs are. First, if somebody wants to really track equipment, they'll have, okay, here's all the work orders that have been associated, maintenance tasks, issues, problems. That's what we mean by work orders. Manuals, warranties, the history of it, when it's been checked in and when it's been checked out, and contracts. And with contracts, you can get to the point with our system where you say, okay, that contract that comes up every December 1st, are we going to renew it or not? Kick off a renewal process, and then you have this contract renewal element built into the work order and equipment system so that you can keep track of contracts and not just have them automatically renew or expire without your, any input from your side. So it really helps you keep track of many aspects of the system. Of, if you're maintaining equipment, you want to know what contracts are related to it. Are they going to be due? Who's going to renew it? Who's responsible? How much it costs? Are we going to renew it? What approval process? All that stuff is built into this system. So there's other things I could show you on this end. We went to the employee portal. That's this facilities we were just looking at. Knowledge base is where you can go in and search the knowledge base for different articles and find, say brush maintenance or something. You can find articles on that. Brush cleanup and grounds. It might give you, what we find this used for is like giving instructions or manuals on how to do things or how to fix problems or how to maintain equipment and things that you don't always remember everything or want to go look up it in some paper manual. You can have it right here. And now one thing is the report center. Let's look at the report center where you can generate reports. You can go to manage reports on the back end and generate them, and you can see them here. Here's equipment by vendor, who has equipment from where, how much it is, what task are open. Let's see, incoming work orders by month. So there's been a growth of work orders through the year. You can see all kinds of things you can do with reporting so that you can know who has what. I mean, know the trends and where the bottlenecks or issues or interests, things you want to know about the system. And we looked at the equipment.
Hey, it's James. I just had a quick question for you. On these reports, can these be embedded into a page, or are they only accessible through here?
Oh, okay, good question. Two things there, and I'll address that. You can have it go, you can export it as PDF, you can save it as a image, you can email this report, you can print it, you can schedule it, you can do all kinds of things with these reports. Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of capability. Each one of these parts of our program have, layers of depth. So this, like for instance, this can be, so much can be done with this report, and also it can be embedded in a page. Like you're saying there, that's what this dashboards are all about over here, is that these reports were created and now they're embedded in this page for management view, management engagement, so they can see what's going on, say with staff workload here or this. And notice that these reports come up in many different formats. You can have pie charts, columns, bars, area, whatever is appropriate, whatever seems to convey the information in the most effective way, right? So you have a whole bunch of reporting capabilities going on there. Another type of reporting, since we're kind of on that topic, is that you can have different views, of course, on your list. Here's example. In the modern UI, it looks a little different, and we could go into that if anyone's interested. But in this case, we're looking at the classic, and say you want to do it by category right here. So you can see all the ones by this kind of category right here. So now we have things categorized. It could be by location. It could be by who they're assigned to. It could be many, many ways you can group and sort these lists. Another thing that can go on here, if we go back to all items, yeah, you can see all open items, all overdue items. You can change these views, night and day if you want. But you can come in here also and print these things. It's kind of interesting. So let's look at a printing situation going on here. So you have a list, you can come in and print out the list, and that could be important to do. Every open ticket, let me print out every open work order. Work orders due today, whatever view you want, you can print it out and give that out to somebody if you needed to, or send it by PDF to somebody or email it. And here you notice up in this ribbon, there's a number of things that are Crow Canyon, Nitro web parts that are put in here, or apps, printing, the forms, the email manager, the custom actions, the print settings, conditional formatting. These are all things we added to SharePoint to make it that much more powerful than it is out of the box. So going back to what I was originally talking about printing, so let's go here, print. Now this can be arranged in many different ways. You set up your templates in our print manager. This one looks like very, very basic. You can have alternating colors. You can decide what columns. You can have it much more streamlined in terms of the format here if you wanted. And then if you want to print the individual item, you can go here to individual item and print it. And you're going to have the print template here again of work order form. This is a very simple one. This doesn't really look like much, but let me show you an example of one really cool stuff we can do with printing out these work orders. So hold on a second, I'll get this one over here. Another one of our programs. I mean, it's facilities work order thing, but it's another, it's another demo. So here we go here. Modern UI going here, but this could work as just as well in the classic UI. And we go to item print. Now look at this. Look what comes up here when we print this out. When we choose the right template, of course. So here we choose that template. Now just take a look at that, the kind of formatting that we can do inside our print manager when you're ready to print out a work order. You can imagine you almost couldn't even tell this from a PDF form. A standard paper PDF kind of form. So I'm going to open that up here and show you what it looks like, because I just saved that to PDF. There you go. This is pulling in information from the SharePoint list. This is the title of that item we were just looking at in SharePoint, and here's the reference number. Here's the person who it's for. This has all been filled in by our programming of this. When we do the print manager, one part of the Nitro Studio. Personally, I'm pretty impressed by this. I don't know, but
could we use that same tool to print out a work order form?
Absolutely.
That looks exactly like what the company has on file already.
Yeah. You just do work order right here. I mean, this is all just done in this particular program by having the way the print manager is set up here. But it certainly could do that there. It's not in that demo I'm showing you. That's why I switched over. But I think we should make it on our list to make that a standard part of the demo to show really sophisticated work order form on there. Because I've noticed people have talked to me, and I talk to people all the time about these programs, is that they want sometimes to print it out. In fact, one customer was like, okay, every morning I want everything to be printed out at 6 a.m. to printer X. And so every morning the staff comes in and they have their 5 or 10 whatever work orders sitting there on the printer ready printed out. It's like running a automated printout of work orders. I mean, these are people who don't necessarily have computers, I guess, so they're running around, whatever, but they're carrying pieces of paper around to do their jobs. They kind of job recs for the day, you could say, right? And they get printed out in whatever nice looking form, ready to go in the morning. Of course, everything can be printed as one-off also as you need to. You come here and print these things out. Yeah, it's quite a difference between that and this one here. And if I had a little more time, I would have made it look like the work order form look like that. What a difference between that and the one we were just looking at, isn't it? What a difference. Anyway, so it's cool what you can do. You can have simple or that nice looking kind of PDF type form that comes from the data that's inside the work order system. Same with equipment. I mean, of course, you can print out an equipment the same way. The amount of interaction and functionality in this program is amazing. So for that reason, I'm going to go into our Nitro Studio and dig down into the layers a little bit here. So let's go look at the Forms Designer. We're going to go here to the Forms Designer, and here's our Nitro Forms Designer for the work order. So let's go here to the work order form. new form. There's also edit form, display form of the work orders. So you can do this for equipment, you can do this for tasks, you can do it for contracts, but we're talking here about the work orders form. On the work orders form, you see those same 6 tabs that I had when I was showing you the program earlier, right? So if you want to add another tab, bada bing, add another tab. That's all there is to it. Take the tab off if you don't want it. So you can do all kinds of interesting stuff of modifying this form quite easily. You can put a line in header and say, something here, work order form XYZ, You can do all kinds of, this is so much we've done with this program to make it really, possible, interesting, fascinating. So if I apply that, now there's work order form at the top, and that could be part, if I publish that, you're going to see it in the work order program in the back end that we're just looking at. This is all you have to do. You want to move these around, you want location someplace else, let's move the location of the location, right? So here we go over here. You want to add another field here, just go in and slide it over there and put it in. This is how easy it is to modify our forms and make it capable of being exactly what you need to do. There's a lot of dynamic capabilities. If you choose this building, show this. You choose this piece of equipment, show that. You can also go in here and put in all kinds of things. You can make it sections. You don't want that? Put sections in. Sections means that it's now like this instead of tabs. You can do stuff like change the colors of this. This is all fun stuff that Nitro Studio makes it a lot of fun to work with. SharePoint. Another really cool thing here is if I go over to the, let me go over to the edit, no, cancel the display form. If I go to display form, I'm not going to save these changes right now. I'm just going to go over to the other item here called the display, because I want to show you how you can add custom actions right here onto the form. Drop it in, you make it right or left, wherever you want it, and then you can go here and change it to escalate. Escalate me. Why not, right? Escalate this thing. And then if you have a custom action called escalate, you can create it and then you can escalate it. Well, okay, I'll take a moment here to segue into this custom actions because it is a very powerful part of our workflow. So if I'm here on the workflow list and I want to create a new custom action called escalate, I will come in here and call it escalate. I can say where this button wants to show up. I'm putting it on Nitro form, to go on display form, the list view ribbon. You want a confirmation message, what icon you want, all that stuff. What conditions you want it to run under. Maybe only certain people can run this button, not everybody, so you want to restrict it. And then what's going to happen when this button is pushed? Well, we're going to maybe send an email to somebody. So we're going to configure this email functionality. I'm not going to do all that right now, but the thing is, what you would do is you would configure a notification to go when the thing is escalated. It's going to send out this email. That would become one of the actions here. Then you could add another action of updating the list item. Updating the list item could do something like change the priority to high because now you're escalating it, right? Or you could reassign it to somebody else. You can do all kinds of stuff just by simply pressing that escalate button. So I think I have to add one action in order to save this. So let me go here, update the list item. We'll call update and set priority to high. We'll go here and change this to high here, the column of priority to high, and then I'll just have that one thing so that we can go here and high, there we go, high. Okay, so now that function's there and we'll do okay. And go back to the forms. We refresh this list and now escalate is on here. Oh, it should be anyway. Let's go. Okay, I think I have to go back and maybe add a different custom action. Let's go here, apply. That's what I have to apply. Apply. Well, select an action. All right, it's supposed to show up here. Let me see if I got that right. Work orders list. Oh man, I didn't save it. Oh, darn it. All right, so I have to go back here and just, click that again. My bad, sorry. That happens in demos, I get used to it if you do enough of these. So then we go here and we go back here. So it's so easy to set this up. I mean, it takes like 2 seconds, as they say, right? So you go to, actually would be set priority to high, right here on the current item, mapping, again, you get to see it twice. So you guys are lucky, right? You get to see it happen twice. It's really easy to do. I mean, it's really simplicity itself with this Nitro Studio. Okay, and then I have to save it here. So now we set the priority to high, and we go back here to the forms, refresh this list, and now escalate is on there. See, I must not have done that before. So now we have escalate me on here. If I go publish this form, confirm, and then we go back to the work orders, and we're in the display of the work orders. I can now open this up. Water pressure is too low. Maybe there's a big problem with water pressure. The sink isn't running, toilets aren't flushing. So you want to go here and now have this escalate me thing on it. So we go here and open that up again, and it should have escalate me right here on the top. See, escalate me, I just added that right in, didn't I? So priority, if we check the priority right now, it's normal. Let's see if escalate changes it to high. Close, close, and now the priority should be high on this one. Normal. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I don't know. Anyways, it should be high. It should be high. Oh, these demos, but that's the way it's supposed to be, is high. No, it is high. Yeah, it just took a moment. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. I know Nitro Studio is very, very, very capable. I knew it wouldn't fail me there. So there it is, high. But here's something else that's cool. When I go here and refresh this list, notice that the this water pressure is high. Now it's our initial formatting turns the high priority to red, and that's another part of our Nitro Studio. I mean, Nitro Studio has so much in it. I don't know, it's just like so much there. It's one of those things where you can really, really manipulate and tweak this application. So all I did in very 1 minute is add on an escalate button right here with a particular function of setting priority to high, but you can add on a whole series of them, set priority to high, send an email to so-and-so, reassign it to so-and-so, and that's also can see, and now it shows up here also. And it also can show up here. If I had set it, it can show in the ECB, which they call the edit control block. I didn't do that, but I think I set it to show up in here. No, I didn't do those. But those are things you can do in custom actions simply by going here, edit this, and have it show up in the ECB, as they call it in the acronym world. Edit control block and the list ribbon, it will show up. Also a confirmation message. Sure you want to do that? Okay, sure you want to escalate? And then change the icon, all kinds of fun stuff you can do with this. Just one example of the many, many capabilities of Nitro Studio and the way you can really turn these applications into fitting your particular requirements and needs. And look, we're already 45 minutes into this, and I even got into workflows, reports, PowerPoint. That's why I say we got to do one-on-one demos, talk to you personally about what your needs and requirements are. Crow Canyon Software is doing so much in this world as far as making these applications, and we have customers all over the world, so we do night and day, and we know how to manipulate and configure SharePoint and Office 365 and all these different ways to perform what you particularly need done. Now, James, I see some questions. Do you want to bring those up, or?
Yeah. So we had a couple of questions when we were talking about the reporting. There's a question about SSRS reports and whether what we're using for our report tool is SSRS. And the answer to that is that it's not SSRS, but it is our own report creation tool. But there's no reason we couldn't also embed SSRS reports onto a page if that's what is needed. But we can embed our own reports as well.
Yeah, Power BI, whatever you want to do. Nothing we do precludes the use of what tools already exist in the Microsoft ecosystem. We always look at it this way. It's Microsoft and Crow Canyon working together to make this happen. Microsoft has many capabilities. Of course, they built the platform with SharePoint and Office 365. Keep adding to it. They have Power BI. Even Flow, we can integrate with Flow. One of our workflows can invoke a Flow, or the custom action can invoke a Flow. Whatever is the thing you want to do there with that. We're very much in it. Also, the integrating with databases, integrating with outside systems, whether they're CRMs or ERPs or whatever other acronyms you come up with, databases, SQL, whatever, any kind of database, financial integration goes on. So we do all day long. We do that a lot in our applications, is what I mean to say. A lot of our applications will tie into other systems so that this becomes a central location for information and functionality that addresses and integrates with other systems that already exist in your environment, as well as we can also migrate from, say, email or old systems into this system, into the SharePoint system. James, were there some other questions?
There are a couple of questions about scanning and the work orders and printing them. Right now you can scan a work order once you print it out. If you print it out as a paper copy, you could scan it and bring it back into the system and upload it as a document if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could have a document library that holds the scans and that are correlated with the equipment In fact, that happens quite often where there's a purchase order, which is usually paper or something, in a lot of the older systems. So people will scan it or an invoice or something and then attach it to the equipment, either as an attachment or in a document library that holds the information and then is associated with the piece of equipment or the work order or whatever. Many ways you can integrate document management in with this equipment management system. So here we go. Yeah, it's like contract dashboard. Here's the contract. Okay. For example. Anything else?
That was it for questions asked during the demo. If there's any other questions, if anyone wants to raise them now, that'd be fine. We can get them answered.
Yeah, I think the scan one might have been talking about OCR, optical character recognition kind of thing. And that's probably something that could be bolted onto our system. I don't know. Anyway, another thing that I could mention here while we're see if anybody else has questions is that we have a chat capability that can be added through the portal settings. Now, this portal here isn't really that impressive in my mind the way it looks, but the functionality is really there. So we can come in and maybe I don't like that background image, I don't like this. But one other thing we can add in is chat. We have ability to add in a chat here. And what we just came out with, and we're just integrating with our demos and the rest of our programs, is a chat bot, which is really a more automated way of chatting without involving a person, but more like interacting with what typical questions are and then responding to them from the depths of the knowledge base and how well that information is organized. But back here, I'm just going to change this while we're talking a little later. Maybe a green background might be good. Okay.
We have another question when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Can you use QR code rather than a handheld scanner? And what about tagging of assets like tables, chairs, and phones?
Okay. In our system, you can have barcodes associated with equipment. So then how the actual functionality of how that barcoding will work depends on your system. So what we have to do is talk to people who have barcoding in place, whether they're using a barcode scanner or they're using their mobile phone as a scanner. And in fact, that leads to the whole subject of using mobile phones and the responsive design here as an important part of this system. So let me get this a little less green or something. And then I'll go back to the portal home and show you that this can be, awful gaudy green, but whatever. But see, it goes into a mobile design right here, mobile like kind of interface very easily here. We can submit an order. Anyway, back to the question about barcoding. Let me go over to the system here, all equipment. Open it up. And there's a way you can print out a barcode from here. You can also blip a barcode and then have it pull up the, based on the record of the item, the barcode number here. It would match what you blipped with the number that's already here, and then it would bring this record up in your barcode scanner or your phone or whatever it is. That's something that depends on how you're using it. Now with printing, we can also do stuff like this where it will print out. I'm not sure if it did this, and okay, I can set this up quite easily with a print template of this list that comes in, and we do print settings, and one of the print template, I got to go here to print settings. The print settings for this list item, list print item, could have a barcode. See, there's a barcode function out, QR and barcode. What is the column? Well, the case would be the barcode, I think, here in the equipment, whatever. So here we have the column and the barcode, ability to print whatever barcode height you want. So it'd be printing the barcode for that equipment list, right? So that's one thing we can do is integrating these barcodes and things together like that. So I'm gonna go over here. If there are other questions, let me know, because I'm going into this barcode one in a little depth here. So.
Yeah, sure. There's another question. To follow on the barcoding question. They don't have anything in place at the moment, so they're looking how would they implement that in the application.
Barcoding?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you could either get a set of barcodes online and then glue them, like attach them to the furniture and the tables and whatever, or you could generate them from a system like ours and have a whole bunch of barcodes that way. It really depends on how you want to get the barcodes originally, but then you just coordinate them with You coordinate them with the item itself. So let me go back to the equipment. So the
Yeah,
equipment
I think
here,
the question's about whether there's any specific tool or any specific barcoding software, barcoding stickers or a special printer that would be specific to the Crocannon application. I believe the answer is no. You can use whatever is available on the commercial market that would work for you.
like those Dymo label printers,
Mm-hmm.
they print out little strips, kind of like they look like address cards you could put on there. Yeah, because the reality that we found with equipment tracking and asset management and IT also is the same thing where people already have like barcode preferences or a way they're going to work. Either some people are using mobile phones, some people are using the old style scan, like mobile scanners, wireless scanners. There's all kinds of ways you can work it out. It depends how much functionality you want to have happen on the phone or happen on the scanner, or how much you're coordinating, what you're doing. Various things you can do. One is like your inventory in all the computers in a closet or a cubicle or a room or whatever. Then you're matching that against what's supposed to be in that closet, room, or cubicle or whatever. Another one is you're intaking and you're checking in and checking out various tools or assets or whatever, pieces of equipment and that kind of thing. So you want to barcode, that's more like check it in, check it out. There's also the idea of like parts go out and they don't ever come back in, so they're reducing the inventory. There's just many different uses of barcodes and QR codes. So it's important that we have probably a one-on-one discussion to talk about the particular needs and how you particularly want to use it. What's your environment? Is it manufacturing? Is it warehouse? Is it IT support? Is it vehicles, athletic equipment? Even who knows? It could be anything. And each one there's similarities, of course, in barcoding, QR coding, but there's also a variations depending on what kind of equipment and what the needs are there. So that'd be good to get in touch with our sales department and talk about that specifically. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, it looks like we've the individual shared their contact information, so we'll go ahead and reach out to them directly after this call, after this
Oh,
webinar.
good. All right. Well, we're very glad. There's so much more I could go into with this. Even the Nitro Studio. If we do a Nitro Studio webinar soon, or you just want to talk to us about it, you can actually download a trial for free. It's no problem. If you're doing into the night, want to know more about Nitro Studio. But if you're interested in the facilities and work order solutions, we can help you out with that and get you going. Do a free demo. We do have trial periods of that also, as well as there's pricing on our website on it, crocannon.com. And we're glad to set up a demo, request one. We'll be sending out a follow-up. Now, we also, as we mentioned earlier, we have another webinar coming up on HR solutions on November 1st. And also, if you're interested in AI, this is kind of like an aside here. You go to crocannon.com. On the webinars page, under resources is webinars. Where's it right here? You have an AI. We're going to do some kind of introduction to our AI services, bots, natural language processing, and more on about 2 weeks? I guess 2 weeks from tomorrow. And then meanwhile, we have this showcase going on here. This one's already has the recording. This has the work orders. We'll have recording of this. We'll be doing HR on Thursday. So all in all, I think there's a lot going on with Crocannon. We'll be at Twin Cities November 17th, Minneapolis show. We'll be in Chicago early December. San Diego in January, Austin in February, Branson in March, all over the place. Huh? We just were in Redmond last weekend. I was up there at the show, Redmond SharePoint Saturday. So very supportive of the community, very much engaged with the SharePoint Office 365 world, what Microsoft's doing, what's coming out, and glad to help in both any way we can to help you run your SharePoint more efficiently and effectively. And I want to thank everyone for attending. If you want to get in touch with us, you can go to our website. There's all the connection at the bottom. Was it Twitter, phone numbers, all that stuff. We also have a very good blog you might want to keep track of what's going on the blog. And new articles were coming out. So hopefully stay in touch. We hear from you. Thank you very much for attending this. And of course, any questions, any follow-up, we'd be glad to hear from you. Thank you very much. Let's see, exit and webinar.